or you can kind of tag team this, but what advice would you have for people who are listening who want to sort of venture into commercial accounts?
Well, that's a great question, and there's about a million different answers to that. But I think one of the things that Randy and I have in common is we both used to be in the business world and did business with other businesses, and that's critical. If you're going to be in the commercial business, you need to run it like a business and interface with your business customers like a business. Okay, so you need to make sure that Randy was talking about logistics and so on, but invoicing. And being prepared to handle the business. Okay, I can't tell you how many times when we first started out, when we were fledgling and trying to figure all this out, we get a call from a really big account. We'll call them a whale because that's a dramatic term to call it. But you have to be prepared to handle that volume. If a hotel calls you up and says, "Hey, our washer and dryer just broke, and we need you to do all of our 200 rooms worth of stuff for the next 3 or 4 days," by golly, you better be prepared on how to handle all that volume. Because let me tell you, I've walked into some of those hotel washrooms where the stuff was literally stacked all the way up to the top of the ceiling waiting to be washed. So that's one tip. If you're gonna do B2B, make sure that you know make sure that you're prepared and that you interface with that business like a business. That's a big step. Another thing is, Randy kind of alluded to it, you're not going to be able to be all things to all business customers. You got to define what your capabilities are and know what they are and be good at it. And, I'm on all the different Facebook forums and so on, and you'll see somebody say, "Oh, I'm all really happy. I just got a great big restaurant account." Well, I don't know what your opinion is, Randy, but restaurants are tough. Some of the stains that those folks bring in are pretty darn hard to clean. And if you have an operation like mine where you're using existing washers and dryers on the floor of your laundromat, okay, I think that's an important distinction. Randy and I have two very different business models. Well, that sort of opportunity is probably not going to be very good because I probably can't get the water as hot as it really should be. I can't maybe use all the chemicals that you probably want to use to clean restaurant stuff with in terms of baths and extra rinses and so on that are required to do some of those things. So you have to define your business model and know what your niche is. And then, I envy Randy. If I had enough accounts to have a dedicated plant, if you will, to do all that kind of stuff, that would be great. But our business model is very different. We look at commercial work as an ancillary business, and we're far more opportunistic. So when we can utilize our existing equipment on the floor and our existing staff with and handle those types of a commercial accounts, that's what we're really looking for. And over time you'll figure out what those are, and I'll give you guys a hot tip. I'm sure Randy would agree with this, but when you can wash things that belong to other people, that is, at least for us, that's our niche. So we know that we can't compete with the great big, what I'll call mega factories out there that offer commercial washing services, that have big tunnel wash systems and some of these things. But the truth is, those guys aren't very good at segregating and designating customer products. They're really good at washing a whole lot of stuff and not necessarily at keeping track of it. So where you can wash things where people want, for whatever reason, for you to wash them, that's kind of our niche. So we wash things that belong to people, and then the reality is we service the heck out of them. So we do whatever it takes to make sure that we take care of their linens and stuff because it's theirs, right? They don't want us to have us throw out half the stuff every time we wash it, because that would be a losing proposition for them. But if we can take that extra step, that extra effort to clean it or fold it or press it or do whatever it is just the way that they want, then that's how we differentiate ourselves from the big guys. So Randy mentioned Airbnb. One of the little things that we do for those types of accounts is we take the sheets and bag them in sheet sets, top, bottom, pillowcases. And that really helps out their maids when they go into a unit. They don't have to count or whatever, because we've done all that for them. And I guarantee you that the big guys out there, we don't have to say who they are. They're not going to know how to do something like that.
They're not going
Does
to
that answer your question?
Something like that.
Yes.
They might be able, but they're not willing to do it because
they don't have to. That's not their niche. They've got enough other big fish out there to fry. They don't need to deal with something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a problem in their world because that's an extra step in the process.
Yeah.
So, Randy, anything you want to add, an advice you would give to people who are looking to start into commercial accounts?
So yeah, sure. And I mean, we can talk about commercial specifically, and you can talk about also doing complementary. So, again, I agree with Rob. The residential pickups, if you've got to build a route, there's some time involved in that. There's some investment that's required for that ultimately results in you've got to find those customers, and cost acquisition can be relatively high across all customer types. What we found is we want our customers to feel like our partners. And Rob said that without saying that. How the customer wants the items to come back is how you want to deliver them. We have some customers that wants their items staged, which is, I call what Rob said there, I call that kitting, but it's creating a kit for the customer the way they want it. So they want to be able to take that kit, put it in a room, and be done with it, and know that room is set up. We also do staging on site, which means we'll take the items and put them in lockers. So we do uniforms for a customer that spends a lot of money versus the big box companies. We take the items, we separate them at the customer name level, we bag them individually, we take them and put them into lockers inside the customer's locker room twice a week. And that's something that, while the big box companies may do that, they are customer owned goods. So the customer owns them, and that kind of gets those other companies to shy away from that. So that we see benefit in that. So there's some staging and kitting there that differentiates us. The other thing we do, and when Rob spoke about treating them like a business, I do stewardship with them. We go out and we're meeting with them on a regular basis to find out what's working well, what's not working well, and how do we care for those things. So in doing so, that's a process that takes time. We've got customers that spend a large amount of money with us that rely on us to help them be successful. Some of our larger commercial clients, they were upset because of the delivery that the big box companies were unable to accomplish. They were leaving items behind, they were losing items, they were damaging items. All the things that Rob said, I'm just kind of regurgitating them a little bit with a little bit maybe different emphasis to ensure that's really what we find, where we find the sweet spot. We do some rental work for customers where it makes sense for us. We also partner with just about everyone. We partner with dry cleaners to do that work. We partner with larger, smaller big box companies where there's a product opportunity where maybe we're not the right one, and we'll bring them in to help us complete a solution.
Do you put any of your clients on account, Randy? Do you put them on accounts and build them? Do you give any sort of terms or anything like that?
Yeah. So it depends on the size of the account. Some of them are names that you would know and recognize. Sometimes they request 30 days. Sometimes we have customers that we start off with net upon receipt. If we do more than one pickup a week, we typically invoice weekly. If it's one pickup a week, we will bill them upon completion of service. We have one customer that's kind of like an Airbnb that we service, and we service them 6 days a week. And every day we roll in 2 to 3 bins of laundry from them. And the other thing we do is we separate stained and damaged items as a service for them. So if it's stained or damaged, we're going to pull it off. We're going to mark it as such so that they understand, don't put those back into your inventory so it doesn't show up in Google. So it's kind of protecting their brand as part of that partnership that I spoke with to start out.
So it sounds like what you both do really well is kind of that next level customer service. It's not factory production. You're treating each customer, differently for what their needs are, which really is very, high level customer service.